Hey, review family, keep it high, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morris, a review guy, and I'm back to bring you another video. And in this one, I'm going to be doing my album review for the newly released Parasite Inc. album entitled Dead and Alive. So, if you are unfamiliar with Parasite Inc., they are a melodic death metal band that was formed in 2007. They are German. And going into this album, most heavy metal fans, as well as myself, I've actually stated this in past videos, melodic death metal, more so than a lot of other genres, can have the habit of falling into a bit of mundane and dragging on type of territory. And prior to the release of this album, they have released one other full-length album, and I had never heard of Parasite Inc. I try to stay up to date with newly released albums to kind of discover new artists and give them a chance, and then if a band is either just really bad or really good, I will usually make a review for them. That's how I pick out what I want to make reviews on when it comes to newer material. And for a melodic death metal album, right off the bat, I can say this is a really good one. Kai Bigler, I believe his name is, the lead vocalist, has a very nice range, a very powerful range. His refrains and his overall vocal techniques are very polished. You can tell that he knows what he's doing with his vocals. They don't sound out of place. They sound very pummeling, very kind of bustling. A lot of times, sometimes in melodic death metal, you'll have Amon Amarth copies where that type of low guttural growl, I forget the lead vocalist's name from Amon Amarth, his name's slipping my mind, I know his name, but that type of growl, that kind of guttural growl, a lot of melodic death metal bands will fall into that trap of only doing that, but I feel like on this album there was some interesting vocal moments, and the instrumentation is the thing I have to praise more than anything, because when I heard the kind of, they have an intro track called Countershock that leads into Once and For All, which is the first song. There's also a video out if you guys want to check that out. Not that I did, they released a video for Once and For All. But Countershock is about a minute, and it leads into Once and For All, and it was really epic from like the get-go, right off impact. When I heard Countershock, like I said, going into the album, I was just kind of like skeptical, because I was like, it's another melodic death metal band from a band that I haven't really heard of much of, that has been around a little bit, but not like a super, super long time. But as soon as I heard Countershock, I was kind of thrown off, because I was hearing the instrumentation and I knew it was a melodic death metal project, and so I was confused, and then it built up and up and up, and then seamlessly, like I love it when songs do this. Like a lot of times I will have trouble finding like a place for intro and outro songs and albums, like I'll be like, was that really necessary? For this, it works really well, because for the minute that they handle the track Countershock, it really carries over into Once and For All really well, seamlessly, to where the mixing is just from one track to the other. That's why I highly suggest listening to this album in its entirety, because the flow of the tracks go pretty well. And Once and For All, by far, it's my favorite track on the album. It just has such an epic orchestral type of feel without really being orchestral. When I say that, I'm saying very epic, very out there, very just expansive. It gets you pumped. I mean, I was really hooked on the album straight off the bat with this track. But as much praise as I have for this album, it can run into the melodic death metal tropes. This is a fairly long album, and a lot of the tracks can go into the late 3-minute mark, early 4-minute mark, late 4-minute mark, and you can sometimes have a bit of mundane, tropish type of like sounding tracks, or at least portions of tracks. But what I think Parasite Inc. does well is they balance those kind of weaker points out with some interesting things that keep the album interesting enough to keep you interested, basically. It doesn't really drag on for too long at any given time. While there are some points that are maybe be a bit like, this sounds like just melodic death metal 101, they'll come in with like a guitar solo or a really good bass type of riff, or the Kai Bigley will come in with like this really deep guttural growl, or like just powerful, his vocal range. He just has this powerful punch to his vocalization, which I really enjoy. But overall, I think that while this album can fall into some of those pitfalls, it's definitely a good album, especially if you're into melodic death metal or just death metal, because while, like I said, a lot of the albums can fall into those pitfalls, I think that while this album does, It's still one of the stronger melodic death metal albums that I've heard in a while, 100%. I think it came out very well, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I want to know what you guys think, though. If you've listened to this album, you can listen to it on Spotify or support the artist on Bandcamp. You can buy the CD, all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you guys next time. In the end screen, you can find my previous video. Until next time, my name is Jay Morse, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.